Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to this new release of this series of videos that we are studying different traditions, different celebrations, trying to understand the timings and wanting to separate, yes, to bring light, to bring truth in what are the things that are we are celebrating, what are the things that we practice, we remember, and we want to remember, and because of that we celebrate. Is that yes, so we can come to the truth of it. We can separate all the things that have nothing to do with our faith, with Jesus. Even there's several Christian traditions and things that have nothing to do with Christianity that are, in fact, with pagan origins. So, in this particular video, we'll be talking about the calendars. Yes, understanding the times and how the time how we live. How we understand the times today and how we get to this global agreement. Yes, it at first hand it seems like a trivial matter that doesn't have much of a spiritual background or importance behind it, but we will see that it's very important and it's very related with our faith. Yes, so calendars try to solve and try to bring certain different components. For example, one of those components is since when we start counting. And that is a very big question, yes, that really reflects the heart and the beliefs of each society. Nowadays, there's yes a global agreement about the Gregorian calendar, but there are many other calendars that are still active today throughout the world, and each of the calendars have a belief, yes, in their foundation questions. For example, in the Gregorian calendar, that yes, we start counting since Christ was born. Yes, so that is our cornerstone. Yes, from and since that occurrence, yes, we start remembering and we start counting. It was so important that we want to remember and want to count the time since that moment. And that has a lot to do with our faith. Yes, because for example, the Muslim calendar that they started to count when their prophet Muhammad fled from the Mecca towards Medina because he was chased because of his beliefs, and they started counting the years since that moment. You have also, just for example, the Chinese calendar that's also yes, a popular or known one, and they started counting since the coronation of the Yellow Emperor. That was one of the first of their dynasty, and they started counting the time since that moment. Now we can see that in the Bible there's many accounts of this. Yes, I mean they start counting. This is the 10th year of King David's, yes, rule, or this is the eighth. This is They start counting since the coronation of the kings. Yes, but the problem with that is you have to keep track and start adding the years of the different emperors. Yes, so in Chinese culture, at least what they started doing, well, no, we start since this moment. For example, the Julian calendar, that is before the Gregorian one, yes, they started counting since the foundation of Rome. That was their cornerstone, and since they started counting the years since that. Then Pope Gregory came and said, "No, why not? Let's start counting since Jesus Christ was born." Yes, so they reset the calendar and they adjusted the different things according to their beliefs and their faith system. So we can see this is yes, a very big question in our culture, in our beliefs, in our traditions, that the calendar brings an agreement with. Another thing that the calendar tries to brings order is to different cycles. Yes, for example, the biggest cycle is a year, but that is a continuum. Yes, the time is when and why they determine that today is the day that the year starts. Yes, and how long is that cycle? So even that mark, yes, also is something that's related to the belief system. Yes, we've prepared a complete video about this, sharing and going in depth why the 31st of December is the last day, and why do we start with January? What happens with all this? Yes, and we go have a complete video about all this. So we dive in and check that one out if you want. For example, we can understand that there's many cultures that also start their years because of the solstice. Yes, when they worship the sun, and the solstice, it was the one in winter where the nights are the longest. Yes, and since that moment, yes, the sun is in the yes in the origin. Yes, and starts to gain its strength. Yes, so the days started to get longer, and the heat started to, yes, to prevail over darkness, over cold. Yes, so all the cultures that have their sun, their culture is centered in the worship of the sun. They usually start the year in this moment. Yes, and in the northern hemisphere, this is in the between the 21st and the 24th of December. Yes, it's very close by, since when the our calendar starts. Yes, and in the southern hemisphere, this happens in the month of June. Okay, so we have all that belief. And what happens, for example, to the Hebrew calendar? So they start the counting in the month around September. Yes, they have. They start counting since the creation of Adam. Yes, and since then they started counting not just the months, the days, but also the years. Yes, so that is the starting point of the today's Hebrew calendar. Okay, but we also have, that's the civil, or the calendar, how they call it. Yes, since the beginning of the years. Yes, when the years change the date. Okay, but then there is another, a religious calendar, yes, that God intervened, and God says, since this moment, since Aviv month, yes, you are departing from Egypt, this will be the head of your year. This will be the starting point, and we starting counting, yes, since this moment. So there's a civil calendar that's related to the creation, and there's another calendar that's related to the departure of Egypt, yes, and the creation as a nation, really, not just as a family, but as a nation. And since that moment, they started counting the year. So we can see has a lot to do with faith, with what we believe and how we understand everything. And we can see, for example, the calendar also is separated in months. Yes, and here we can see these periods of time that some are lunar. Yes, some has 28 to 29 days, and they relate to that, as for example the Hebrew calendar or the Muslim calendar. Yes, and some are regulated by the sun. Yes, so we have there 30 or 31 days. So but even this is in agreement with something. Yes, so most of the calendars are have agricultural uh, basic. Yes, because for example, the Muslim calendar doesn't adjust to the solar calendar. So they have their 12 lunar months, that's a year. yes, for them, but that is only, yes, around 360 days. Yes, so that is very starts to carry on, yes, different days, and that throughout the years and the century, all the seasons, all the months just started to shift in agreement to the solar calendar and the agriculture. But in their origin, they're not an agriculture a culture. Yes, they don't develop that, so that wasn't very important for them. Yes, but in other cultures where they needed to understand and to synchronize their time and understanding and knowing when they have to, yes, so when they have to reap, when they have, yes, so their seed and everything really brings the exact and the most seed about most fruit about that. Yes, because we have different seasons. Yes, different crops that have to be sowed in different periods of time. So it's very, so in all these agriculture cultures need an adjustment in how to obtain this. So in the Hebrew calendar, they start and they do this. For example, they are ending the 12th month, yes, the lunar month, and they have to see how the barley is mature. It is Aviv or not. Yes, if it is Aviv, okay. Next new moon, that's a new year. Yes, and 14 days after that, they celebrate Passover and all the other feasts. Yes, they have related. But if the barley is not in that maturity point, eh, they add a complete lunar month. Yes, to adjust in that time. Yes, they add the 13th month in that. And this has a lot of have to do with the celebrations, because in the first fruits offerings they bring the first fruits of the barley. Yes, and if the barley isn't mature, they can't bring anything to the Lord. They can't. They present themselves with with empty hands, and we just can't do that before the Lord. And the same thing happens with Pentecost. Yes, that's a celebration and the harvest of the wheat. So it all the celebrations, all the feasts in the Bible are related, yes, to the moon, yes, but also with the crops and to be able to present different offerings. And this happens in also different cultures in different belief systems around the world. So we can see, for example, that the Chinese calendar, they start around February their year, and this is because it is the midpoint between the winter solstice, yes, the 21 to 24th of December, yes, and the equinox that is the starting of spring around, yes, the 21st or 24th of March. So they calculate the midpoint of that, and in that midpoint, when is the new moon since that moment. Yes, and it's a lunar calendar. Yes, but they start it. So this is why they start around February. We can see then the next period of next cycle. Yes, that it's called, yes, we call it a week. Yes, and why does it have 7 days? Why not 8? Why not 10? Why not? Yes, and again, this has a faith. A belief behind this, and in the Hebrew and the Bible, the creation was done in 7 days, and since then they have to count and have the resting day in the Sabbats. Yes, so uh, from there, the 7 day period comes in the counting of the Shabbats, and so the origin of the 7 day is comes from that. And but then we have, for example, later on, advancing in the cultures, we have the Babylon community, and they had one understanding, and they worshipped the stars, the moons, the planets, and the planets that are visible, yes, are seven. Yes, so they and each one of them had yes, they were dedicated to different gods. Okay, so they from there they started relating. Okay, it's seven, so each one is a different. Yes, it rules a different god. So they worshipped. Yes, and that's how the names of the gods started to being related to the days. Yes, in this cycle. uh, Much later on, for example, we have some atheist efforts to kind of erase the week. There's in the French Revolution they tried to change the calendar. Actually they did it, but it didn't prevail. It was a 10-week period. Also the Russian revolution, the Bolsheviks also started wanted to change this. Yes, and it was persisted until the 1940s around. Yes, but it didn't prevail. Yes, but the whole idea of this, it was to break the concept of rest in Sunday and celebrate, yes, the Sunday. Yes, as the starting point. Yes, because the Jewish celebrated the Saturday, or the Muslims celebrate the Friday. Yes, so with breaking the week, they break the resting point, and with that, the celebrations that are related. There was even an effort to start the week on Monday, so the seventh day was the Sunday and not the Saturday. Yes, wanting to make the Sunday the most important day, but that also didn't prevail, and that's why we still start on a Sunday and finish our week on Saturday. So if you want to watch how does God celebrate, and how he understands the calendar, and what's even the difference between God's calendar and the actual Hebrew calendar, tune in. We'll be preparing a new video and diving into this matter. So see you in the next video. God bless you. Bye.